From Liang province to the end of the land of buried bones, Yu Shangrong, with his 7-leaf speed, Ji Liang's speed, and several stops in between, took about 10 days to reach his destination. If he did not have Ji Liang, he would have needed twice the amount of time. After fighting the Clarity Sect's master, Zhang Yuanshan, he returned to Brackish Mountain's Melilot graveyard with his 8-leaf speed. That took him 7 days with several stops along the way. If one traveled at the full speed of an 8-leaf cultivator without resting, they would need about 5 days to travel from Lulan, past Heaven's Moat, to Liang province. With the full speed of a 9-leaf cultivator, without resting, it would take a couple of days. After a day had passed, the 7 allied nations had more than enough time to massacre the people of Liang province, Yi province, and even Yu province. Lu Zhou ignored Jiang Wenxiu. He held Jiang Wenxiu with the palm seal as he summoned his avatar. When his avatar appeared, his speed and power increased to the maximum. He was moving at top speed at this moment. You know nothing about me. He began moving swiftly and kept unleashing his grand technique in a frenzy. He covered several thousand meters with one leap. The trees were just blurs. The colors of the sky were but a smudge. The scenery could not be seen at all. Jiang Wenxiu was greatly shaken. Even the most powerful cultivator in the Red Lotus domain could not have unleashed their grand techniques ceaselessly in this manner. He swallowed all the mocking words that were hanging off the tip of his tongue. He felt as though his worldview had been forcibly changed. This person was not human, he was a monster. It was as Jiang Wenxiu had said. Liang Province City was currently engulfed in the flames of battle. Huang Shiji summoned his 8-leaf avatar and swept the other tribesmen off the top of the city walls. Even so, he was beginning to feel the fatigue from the prolonged battle. See Wuya's huge wings swept past in the air. He took out dozens of cultivators with his energy needles. He ordered, fall back. Protect the civilians. Retreat in the direction of Yi province. Understood. The Great Yan cultivators formed a solid wall of avatars in front and kept the other tribesmen on the other side. Zhenghai swept past the top of the city walls. His dragon song slit past the necks of the other tribesmen. They're disgusting, Zhenghai said after spitting. He descended discreetly and looked at the 7 flying chariots in the air. The huge flying chariots from the 7 allied nations, Bofu, Qigong, Sushen, Changyi, Jizhong, Zhuiying, and Wuxian, advanced. This grand scale of attack was unprecedented. Although Si Wuya was smarter than most, against the 7 allied nations, he had no choice but to retreat as he defended. They're certainly going all out. Zhenghai lowered his head and flew up again. The elites of the 7 nations advanced in the air. Great Yan cultivators fell occasionally. Junior sister, retreat. When Zhenghai saw Li Jingyi fighting nearby, he called out to her. All right. Li Jingyi returned. The cultivators of Great Yan retreated like a receding tide. When they were halfway through their retreat, the 7 flying chariots were already hovering above Liang Province City. Si Wuya said loudly, activate the formation. Whiz. A curtain-like barrier shone above Liang Province City. The barrier isolated the cultivators of the 7 allied nations. The barrier won't last long. Continue retreating. What surprised them was that the flying chariots of the 7 allied nations seemed to have gone wild. Under the protection of their cultivators, they unleashed their energies as they rammed into the barrier. Boom. 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 The 7 flying chariots crashed into the barrier at the same time. Ripples spread across the sky curtain. The cultivators of Great Yan appeared flustered. Zhenghai rejoined the crowd and said, I've scouted them. The 7 nations came prepared. They've practically thrown everything at us. Si Wuya looked at the 7 flying chariots and said, it's hard to believe that they've aligned their interests so soon. Zhu Honggong said awkwardly, who cares about them? Should we run away on our own? They were nascent divinity realm cultivators. It would not be a problem for them to save themselves. Duanmu Sheng frowned and said, shut up. Zhu Honggong withered instantly. If they abandoned the city at this moment and left the people to their fates, everything the Nether Sect had worked for would be for naught. They would be cursed for generations to come as well. The fiend path was not terrifying, but if one lost sight of the path, it would be akin to plummeting into a 100,000-foot deep abyss. Zhu Honggong's father, Zhou Tianyuan, said, "The battle between the Nether Sect and the divine capital has gone on for too long. If the 8 great generals were still here, we might stand a chance. We can hardly win now." Si Wuya said, "This is not the time to beat ourselves up. Morale is important. Don't drag the others down. Continue to retreat." If eldest senior brother and second senior brother were here, these people wouldn't dare to act as they please. Zhu Honggong said. "Just focus on retreating for now. I've sent a letter to the divine capital. 6th senior sister and the others are hurrying toward us. I hope the other sects will see past our differences and side with us for now against the enemies," Si Wuya said. "We can only hope." Next to Si Wuya, little Yuan pulled Conk to the front. Conk saw the 7 flying chariots and heard the booming sounds. "I'll try." Conk raised her Lantian jade flute. "You?" Zhenghai Jian shook his head. "Little girl, don't bring us trouble, okay? Take her away." Conk did not listen to his advice. Instead, she raised the Lantian jade flute to her lips. Red energy appeared, and a sound wave rolled out. The tide of red energy continued to spread out along with the flute's melodious tune. Upon seeing this, Si Wuya exclaimed in surprise, "Red energy." The great yen cultivators noticed this as well. They looked at the little girl in the air. The melody was from the Lantian jade flute. Red energy? Even her fellow disciples were shocked to see this. Sound was a classic method of attacking an entire area. When the red energy rolled toward the 7 flying chariots in the skies, the low-rank cultivator seemed to be in pain. They could not maintain flight and dropped to the ground. However, high-rank cultivators were not affected. Little Yuan applauded and said, "Conk, hurry. You can do it. The flying chariots are swaying." The elites on the 7 flying chariots noticed this. They immediately found someone to replace the people manning the helms. Shortly after, several elites flew out of the flying chariots and arranged themselves in a row. Lion King, Snake King, Ox King, and other avatars shown. Several sound techniques struck back at the red energy. The red energy immediately shattered, and the sound stopped abruptly. The tidal wave of noise was almost unbearable. Their minds felt as though they were about to explode. Bam! Conk reeled. Little junior sister. The others circulated their energies and caught Conk. After stabilizing herself, Conk's face was ghastly pale. Her cultivation base was too low, after all. With her cultivation base, she could not have blocked the attacks of that many cultivators at the same time. A cultivator sped forward from behind. "Report. The others have already made it out of the city. They're being transported by 3 flying chariots." "All right. Everyone, retreat." The great yen cultivators were the last ones to leave Liang province. The 7 elites noticed this and leaped out of their respective flying chariots. They summoned their avatars and shot toward the great yen cultivators. "Nobody's getting away today." The avatars moved swiftly. The 7 elites looked down at the great yen cultivators from above. "What do we do now?" Zhu Honggong asked. "We'll make tea. Can you stop it with your questions?" Duanmu Sheng said exasperatedly. "Well, I'm sorry if I'm born stupid. If I were as smart as the rest of you, I wouldn't have asked." Si Wuya said, "Zhu Honggong, you'll take one direction. Miss Li Jingyi and Zhenghai Jian will be in charge of another direction, and Senior Huang Shiji will take one direction on his own. 3rd senior brother and I will act accordingly as the situation shifts. The others should retreat eastward." "All right." Si Wuya's voice had barely faded when dong, dong, dong. The curtain-like barrier above Liang Province City shattered under the wild attacks of the 7 flying chariots and the cultivators. "This is it. We'll win or we'll lose. The moment Liang province's barrier shattered, the cultivators of the 7 allied nations swarmed in. The Great Yan cultivators went their separate ways as agreed. Unlike the 4 nations in Lulan, there were more elites from the 7 nations. Each of the 7 nations had several 7-leaf and 8-leaf elites. It was just as Zhenghai had said. The 7 nations were putting everything they had into this attack. Therefore, it was only normal that they had such crushing power. The Great Yan cultivators formed 4 phalanxes and engaged their enemies in battle while the others retreated as planned. They retreated as they fought. Meanwhile, orders were given from the 7 flying chariots. Don't hold back. Let's end this as quickly as we can. Don't give them any chance to retreat. Take them down. Even if the reinforcements from the divine capital are here, they can't do anything about this. All right. Send an 8-leaf cultivator from each side and focus on breaching their defenses. Then, the 7 elites left the flying chariots and summoned their avatars. 7 beast avatars without lotuses lunged at the Great Yan cultivators alongside the 7 great elites. From afar, it seemed as though gigantic beasts were diving into the crowd. Boom. Under the avatars' attacks, Zhenghai, Li Jingyi, and the group of people with them were pushed back and reeled from the impact. Several cultivators could not withstand the attack of an 8-leaf cultivator, spat out blood and plummeted. Si Wuya looked at Zhenghai. Can you do it or not? Sure. Zhenghai brandished Dragon Song. Countless energy swords shot toward the Tiger King avatar. Bam. 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 Meanwhile, the other 6 avatars lunged at the others as well. Retreat. 2 of the avatars charged at Zhu Honggong. Zhu Honggong circulated all of his primal chi and condensed it into energy. It resonated with his Zen tunic. Then, energy fists materialized on his hands. When he saw this, Zhu Tianyuan frowned. Son, look out. I won't dodge. If I dodge, what would happen to the people behind me? Zhu Tianyuan said, nice. You really are my son. Because of your words, I'll give it my all today. Whiz. An energy resonance that was clearly different from the others resounded in the surroundings. A 100-foot avatar materialized before them. An 8-leaf golden lotus shone with golden radiance. As soon as it appeared, it flew in front of Zhu Honggong. Boom. The Lion King avatar pounced on Zhu Tianyuan's avatar. A wave of energy rippled out. The other cultivators who came charging were pushed back from the energy. Zhu Tianyuan had blocked 2 great elites on his own. Zhu Honggong was excited when he saw this. That's awesome. Zhu Tianyuan wiped away the sweat from his face and said, this is nothing. I have many more skills up my sleeves. Watch carefully. He turned the back of his 8-leaf avatar toward the other tribesmen and planted himself in front of Zhu Honggong. The 100-foot avatar spun in the air. An avatar could be used as a powerful defense and as a weapon. This was especially true when facing low-rank cultivators. The others were stunned by this scene. The other tribesmen cultivators who swarmed toward them were sent flying by the spinning avatar. It can be used like that? Zhu Honggong was extremely shocked. A senior is a senior, after all. His combat experience isn't something that the younger generation can compare to. The others were relieved. The power of an avatar was terrifying. However, avatars were also prone to damage. When the avatar was damaged, it would often translate to the cultivator as well. Avatars had to guard against cultivators with heaven-grade weapons. The 7 great elites of the other tribes were not without their own special techniques. The 7 of them exchanged a meaningful look before they attacked Zhu Tianyuan at the same time. When Huang Shiji lost his target, he cried out, Zhu Tianyuan, fall back. Zhu Tianyuan realized the precarious situation he was in as well. He wanted to retract his avatar, but the 7 elites were coming at him from different directions. A huge energy saber formed in the air. Clearly, it was a weapon that could pierce through energy. Bam. 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 3 of them reached Zhu Tianyuan first. Zhou Tianyuan staggered backward and grunted. A cultivator with a sharp blade expanded his energy saber to take down Zhou Tianyuan's avatar with a strike. Die. The cultivator raised his huge energy saber with both hands and brought it down with all his might. This is bad. Dad. Bam. Zhou Tianyuan reeled as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhu Hongong's eyes widened, and his heart trembled. Senior Zhu. The others exclaimed in shock. The other tribesman elite with the blade looked down and said in surprise, "You're still alive? If one slash won't do, I'll slash you twice. Let's see how long you'll last." After the other tribesman finished speaking, he raised his energy saber again. The energy saber was several times more powerful than before. At the final moment, a blinding light shot forth in a terrifying manner from Liang Province's western gate. What's that? What a powerful aura. The unique grand technique attracted everyone's attention. The speed was so fast that everyone could only see a streak of light. In just a split second, it covered several thousand meters. When they blinked again, the streak of light had already entered Liang Province City. Grand technique? Are my eyes deceiving me? This is bad. Great Yen is done for. When the Great Yen cultivators saw this, they thought a more powerful other tribesman elite had arrived. Their hearts sank, and their faces were ashen. When Wuya saw the streak of light, his expression soured. He had used all his heart and strength to defend Liang Province for so long, but he was crushed in the face of absolute strength. He could tell the newcomer was a 9-leaf cultivator. The other tribesmen elites from the 7 allied nations merely felt a flash of powerful primal chi. Meanwhile, the elite raised the huge energy saber with both hands, prepared to bring it down on Zhou Tianyuan. All of a sudden, his visions blurred as a golden light shone on him. Boom. Ding. Killed a target. Reward, 1,500 merit points. The air stilled. The battle ended. The cultivators of Great Yen and the other tribes looked at the new avatar. In the avatar, they saw an old man with the air of an immortal. The old man's figure and indifferent expression were familiar. Master. Pavilion Master. Senior G. The Great Yen cultivators and the Nether Sect disciples were overjoyed. The moment they saw Lu Zhou, they felt as though they had seen their savior. All of their efforts, resistance, and persistence paid off at this moment. The greatest expert in Great Yen, the Evil Sky Pavilion's Patriarch, had arrived. Welcome back, Patriarch. Welcome back, Master. Lu Zhou ignored the joyous greetings. He had been keeping his eyes trained on the countdown timer. He was pleased with the time it took him to travel to Liang Province with his grand technique. It only took him 10 minutes. He had 3 to 4 minutes left. Without the presence of another 9-leaf cultivator, this was more than enough time for him. Jiang Wenqiu, who was captured by Lu Zhou, had lost the ability to think. After all, he had seen how Lu Zhou had maintained his avatar and constantly cast his grand technique as they traveled all the way here. In the Red Lotus domain, was there anyone capable of this feat? An explanation appeared in Jiang Wenqiu's mind at this moment. Lu Zhou must be a 10-leaf elite who deliberately hid his cultivation base to appear weak. Was Lu Zhou the true boss of this world? As the saying went, if you stare into an abyss for too long, the abyss would eventually stare back at you. Meanwhile, Lu Zhou did not care about what Jiang Wenqiu thought. Instead, he looked at the 7 flying chariots indifferently. He moved swiftly. Boom. A flying chariot fell. At the same time, hundreds of cultivators were sent flying. They either died or were gravely injured. Fall back. Retreat at once. Wah. This is the devil himself. Where's the royal tutor? He's a big fat liar. Boom. Lu Zhou moved swiftly again. The second flying chariot was destroyed. To the cultivators present, the 9-leaf avatar was like a tall and towering mountain. As Lu Zhou destroyed the flying chariots, his 9-leaf avatar released countless energy swords. The energy swords covered the entire Liang Province city and stabbed the enemy cultivators as though they were flies. Boom. 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 After several swift movements from Lu Zhou, the 7 flying chariots were completely destroyed. Ding. Killed 25 nascent divinity realm targets, reward, 25,000 merit points. Killed 350 divine court targets, reward, 3,500 merit points. The others yield no reward. The 6 remaining elites were scared out of their wits. They summoned their avatars and fled. The 7 nations were now in a complete mess. A Lion King avatar shot up to the walls of Liang Province City amidst the chaos. He retracted his avatar and thought nobody had noticed him. Just when he was about to escape, the 150-foot avatar sent a palm seal his way. It was the Buddhist Great Vajrawal hand sign. Bam. The palm seal was not huge, but it was swift and deadly. It landed on his chest with great force. He lowered his head and stared at the hole on his chest. This. Ding. Killed a target. Reward, 1,500 merit points.